All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to 7 Steps for Releasing the Year. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas slash holiday, whatever it is that you celebrated and however you celebrated it. I hope you had a wonderful time. We are now at the point where we are going to have our meditation time. And I'm going to talk a little bit before we jump into the meditation, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the 7 steps process. It's not quite the end of the year yet. You still have 4 more days. So I encourage you to continue journaling. I'm just working on my forgiveness step, step 5. So I've got 2 more steps to work on between now and Thursday night at midnight that I'll be working on. But I do encourage you to continue journaling. You know, one thing that I was thinking about for tonight was part of the byproduct of doing the 7 step process every year is that you begin to see all the ups and downs that life brings every year. You know, 2020 may be the exception for getting to the end of the year and feeling like, oh my God, what a year. But people have been saying that if you, in case you've noticed, or in case you haven't noticed, people have been saying that at the end of every year for the last, I don't know, 2000 years maybe. But oh my gosh, I can't wait till 2015 is over. Oh my gosh, I can't wait till 2016 is over. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. It's like, okay, but that's never going to end because we live on this planet and there are always ups and downs. And doing this 7 step process at the end of the year, you get to see like, oh my gosh, there are these really major hard things that happened this year. And I got through them, but man, they sucked. But there are also these wonderful things too. I've got a lot of things on my gratitude list. I have a lot of good times and enjoyable moments that I cherish from this year also. And so moving into next year, do we want to go into the new year with this expectation that, oh my gosh, this is going to be the perfect year? And then things are going to happen because we live on this planet and we are humans and everything has its ups and downs. And we have our expectations that get disappointed. And we have our hopes and dreams that sometimes get fulfilled and sometimes don't. And that will always be the case. So part of the 7 step process is learning that this is life. And I don't want to carry around my unfulfilled hopes if they don't serve me anymore. If they do serve me and I still want them, then hey, bring them on. Let's take them into the new year. But if they're not serving me anymore because I'm a different person today than I was January 1st of this year, then I want to let it go. I don't want to drag a hope buried inside of me into the new year. I want to be able to let it go, as well as our disappointments and difficulties. Yeah, things were hard this year. And you know, do we want to carry that treasury into the new year, or do we want to say, hey, yeah, this is part of life, and whew, I can let this go and leave it in 2020, and that's a part of 2020 we can say. That's part of the end of any year. We can say, yes, thank you that this part of this year is over, and I'll have new challenges in the new year, but I'm also a stronger person than I was last year. I've been through more, I understand more, and I'm moving into the new year with new wisdom also. And so that's part of this process as well, and just kind of a wonderful byproduct of being more aware of the opposites that we live in as human beings. We have our ups, we have our downs, and how we deal with those is what's important, not if we have them, if we have ups or if we have downs. I remember years and years ago, I used to get so excited for my birthday every year, and I would always feel disappointed, not because the birthday was bad, but because I had some strange expectation that this birthday was going to be the thing that made me feel wonderful about myself. And of course, that didn't happen because that's not how that happens. We don't feel okay with ourselves because we have a nice birthday. So I remember one year I finally became aware of this about myself, and I said, okay, I'm going to enjoy my birthday no matter what. I'm just going to find the joy in the day instead of having the expectation and hope that it's met, and maybe it will be, and usually it wasn't. Not that there weren't wonderful things happening, but I was missing them because I had these other expectations that didn't get met for whatever reason year to year. So, so one year I just decided, no, I'm just going to enjoy the day. I'm just going to enjoy the day. And I went with a friend to a science museum, and at the science museum, we just went around, and it was probably the worst science museum I've ever been in my life. There was no educational value to it whatsoever. And so we just started making fun of it. Like, oh my gosh, they had these signs. Like one of them was this chair or couch was cut in half. And so you could see the inner stuffing of the couch. And it had a sign above it that said, "Science is here," with an arrow pointing to the open part of the couch. It's like, yeah, probably. What is that? That does nothing for me. That does absolutely nothing for me. And the whole place was filled with things like that. It was hilarious. And we had so much fun just laughing about it. And that is the birthday that stands out to me of all my birthdays, is just being able to let go of expectations, go with the flow, and say, hey, this is what this is. Could I have gone, oh my gosh, I love science museums. Let's go to the science museum and it's going to be great. And then I'd get there and I would be fully disappointed, I promise you, if I had gone there with expectations about having a wonderful science museum experience, because it was not there. Definitely. And I do not recommend that science museum, which will remain unnamed unless you want to find out privately, and I will tell you which one it was. Um, but yeah, it was fun. So it's not about, it's not about that things are not going to be what we think they should be. It's about what are we going to do when they're not, and how are we going to handle that? And how can we be in a mindset going into something, instead of having to work ourselves out of the disappointment? How about going into the new year being open and receptive to the learning that's going to be taking place, to the new joys that are going to be taking place, to the new opportunities to grow, to the challenges that are going to take place? Why not just be open and say, I can do this? They're all going to be there. I can do this. I'll love my good times. I will try to be as present as I possibly can. And I will also be able to deal with my disappointments and difficulties, because I know I can. And I have friends, I have backup. I know I can handle whatever comes. So it's okay. It's okay. I'm not wishing for difficult experiences, but I'm human and I live on this planet. So there are going to be some difficulties about the year, and I can do it. I can handle it. So when we get to the end of 2021, maybe that road will feel a little bit more evened out than this year did, because we're going into 2021 a little bit more aware, maybe a lot more aware than any of us came into 2020. Oh my goodness. Last year, at a church locally in Chicago, I led a ceremony on a Sunday morning called the White Stone Ceremony. And the White Stone Ceremony is about picking a word for the year, for the new year, that means, I don't know, something that comes from within, that is a representation of your year, that comes intuitively, and maybe you don't know what it means when you receive that word during the ceremony, or around the ceremony, but it's something that you just kind of pay attention to throughout the year and see how that word comes to fruition. And so an overall word that I was sharing at this service was, for 2020, was new vision, right? 2020, who wasn't thinking about that last January? And, oh, this is going to be a year of new vision and new insight, and how great it's going to be. We can see things clearly. We can, have our eyes wide open. And oh my gosh, did we ever get an opportunity to do that, right? We had to shut everything else off so that we had this opportunity to pay attention to what was going on. And how clearly do we see our lives now? How differently do we see our lives now? How much more appreciation? How much have we let go of? how different are we as human beings? How do we see ourselves differently now than we did at the beginning of the year? So the word that I chose for 2021 is assimilation. I just want all of us to assimilate what we've learned as much as possible for the new year. Assimilating, this slowing down, assimilating, understanding what's important and what isn't, assimilating the self-care and attention that we need to pay to our bodies that if we're secluded in our houses need a little bit of movement and nourishment and other things besides just working all the time or being busy all the time, which we love to do. And I was one of those people who loved to be busy all the time. And but assimilating all those things we've learned about ourselves individually, as a country, as a world, and to be able to have that as our strength as we go through whatever experiences we have to go through in 2021. All the wonderful experiences, all the challenging experiences, all the difficult experiences. We have what we need to make it through everything and have a lot of enjoyment in the process as we go. So anyway, that's my little piece about the 7 steps and why it's an important thing for us um, to work with every year, because there's so much learning that we get to as we're paying attention to all of our experiences year to year. So we are going to start our meditation now. I'm going to share my screen. I have a little image here I want to have in front of us. All right. There we go. So my dog is ready for his dinner. So I invite you to get comfortable in your chairs. If you have any music nearby you want to add to this, then feel free to. These are our 7 steps for creating a new you, our 7 steps for releasing the year. And really, every time we do a 7 steps process, we're creating ourselves anew just a little bit every time. So I just thought this was a nice image to use for our meditation time. You can look at it while we're doing our meditation time. You can close your eyes. We're going to release 2020. And again, I invite you to get comfortable in your chairs. We're going to take a few breaths. They can be deep if you feel like they need to be deep. If you want to do just a few natural rate calming belly breaths, breathing in and letting your belly expand, breathing out and feel that belly pull towards your spine. Repeating these a few times. And we let all the thoughts of the day, of the week, just float away, being here now. Take a moment to get in touch with your center. That part of you that feels most peaceful. If you can locate it in your body, that can help it feel very real and grounded. Maybe it's your heart space. Maybe it's your core. The sensation of sitting in your chair or your feet on the floor. Wherever it is for you, just locate that place and breathe into it a few times from your belly again, but with your attention on that centered place within you. Now picture before you a set of 7 stairs. You can use your imagination or the image on the screen, whatever works for you. And this staircase with 7 steps is solid and supportive and aglow with light. And at the top of the staircase is a beautiful clear light that shines upon each step, lighting the way. And approach this staircase with a beautiful basket in your arms. And in this basket is the year 2020. All the things you journaled about, all the experiences you've had, all the people you've come in contact with, and yourself, the one who went through this year, your 2020 self. And you hold this basket lovingly in your arms. As we take the first step, stepping up onto step 1, gratitude. Gratitude. And here we acknowledge all the people, places, things, situations that we're grateful for from the year 2020, from January through December. Just think about the things that you wrote down. And at this step, just think about the extra special things you're grateful for about 2020. And say within yourself a little statement of gratitude to your higher power, to yourself, about this year. And take a deep breath and step up to the next step, the step of good times. And let all the good times from 2020 float up in your basket to the surface. Maybe some of them were on your gratitude list too. It's okay. We can be grateful for them doubly, give them double the acknowledgement. Think about the good times you had this year. These are the good times, the good experiences, the enjoyable moments that 2020 brought to you. Maybe there are a few in particular that stand out. Just feel the love and gratitude for them. Feel the happiness that you felt at the time. And then take another deep breath and let them settle into your basket as you take the next step. The step of hopes and dreams, or unfulfilled hopes and missed opportunities, or step of expectations, or shoulda, coulda, wouldas from 2020. And maybe this step is filled with all the January hopes and dreams we had that by March were pandemicked away. We just acknowledge that. Maybe some of your hopes and dreams were not met because you didn't meet them for whatever reason. We just want to acknowledge all of that, not to be hard on ourselves or the pandemic or the year or anybody else, but just to acknowledge that, okay, these were the things that are left undone now that we're at December 27th. Maybe some of them are still important, maybe none of them are. It's probably a mix. Just notice. Notice what hopes and dreams are still important to you, and notice which ones just don't have the importance now that they did at the beginning of the year. Notice that some don't fit anymore, and some are still very important. This is really the step where we're releasing, looking back. Oh, I wish I would have done this. Oh, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have behaved better. I wish I would have been more outgoing, COVID notwithstanding. Oh, I wish I would have whatever. And that keeps us looking back. So here, right now, we're releasing all of those shoulda, coulda, wouldas from 2020 so that we can be more present with ourselves moving into the new year. Support ourselves in the moment. Sometimes being able to look at what we didn't get to accomplish helps us be more resolved to accomplish what's important to us in the new year. Nothing goes wasted. Now take a deep breath, letting go of all of those hopes and dreams, all of the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Take the next step. This is our fourth step of disappointments and difficulties. Maybe the most obvious things of the year. These are the reason we want to run into 2021, but it's important to acknowledge them, to leave our emotional charge around these disappointments and difficulties in 2020. Leave the emotional energy here. We take the lessons with us. The learning, the growing, the strengthening. So think of some of those disappointments and difficulties. And maybe there's some bleed over from the unfulfilled hopes and missed opportunities. That's okay. Even things from the good times and gratitude step can end up here because they were so short-lived. Whatever these disappointments and difficulties are for you from the year, just let them come to mind right now with the intention of acknowledging and releasing them. Let yourself have your feelings about these. The feelings are part of the experiences. Let yourself feel them. And us gathering together to do this is supporting each one of us, releasing these difficulties, disappointments, sadnesses, angers, frustrations, fears. We just are letting them go, allowing ourselves to feel them as we let them go. We take the lessons, we take the strength, we take the blessing that came from them with us. And we leave the resentment behind. Just feel all of this being absorbed into the air around you, into the universe right now. And now take a deep breath, releasing all of it. And an extra deep breath if you need one, as we take the next step, the step of forgiveness. And this is really the most healing step of this process, where we acknowledge our own strength and inner power of wisdom and love. And think of those things that were hard to forgive from this year. And forgiveness can be for people, places, things, or situations, just like our gratitude can. Think of the few that stood out to you as you've been journaling. And remember that forgiveness doesn't mean permission for somebody to behave poorly. It doesn't mean condoning. It's accepting that what has happened this year has happened. We did what we did around it. And if there's anything we need to forgive, so that we're not carrying the emotional energy into the new year. The emotional energy of anger, revenge, fear, that get in our way of being present, of being constructive and positive for ourselves and our loved ones around us. This is a step where we let that go. Knowing that nothing has had power over us. Because here we are releasing the year. We have a strength in this group that's gathered tonight, and fortitude, and goodwill. And forgiveness is our superpower. It keeps us from feeling weak or vulnerable to the opposites of the third dimension of human life. Because we know there are ups and downs, and we made it through each one of them. Because here we are, and stronger for it. This is a step, this forgiveness step of proclamation for the truth of our being. But ultimately, there's nothing more important than being in touch with our own inner light and letting that light shine as much as we possibly can. Everything else is just passing time. This is the step of proclamation where you're saying to yourself, my heart is more important than anything else that has happened this year. And I want my heart to be clear and free and wise as I move into the new year. So I let all of this go. And take a deep breath. Feel the release. Feel the clarity. Feel the hope. And take the next step, the step of review and release. And this step is when we get a chance to look over our year, all of the steps we've just taken, all of our experiences from the new year, and taking a deep breath and letting it all go. And saying a prayer of gratitude. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Thank you, infinite presence, for this year, all that it's brought, and the fact that I'm here now. I know my personal self wants things to go certain ways, and that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But my higher self is grateful for the lessons and the growth that I've worked hard for this year. And this is a step too, where you can say a prayer for your new year. What do you want for 2021? How do you see yourself moving through 2021? Now that you've been able to process 2020, feel your presence that's prepared for the new year. By working through this process, you've cleared the way for new possibilities for the new year. You've worked to not drag elements of 2020 with you into the new year, which makes you clearer, more open, more ready for the blessings of 2021. Blessings meaning the things you'll be grateful for next December, the good times you'll have that you'll be grateful for next December, as well as the challenges that you'll be grateful for and you'll be forgiving next December. But you're going into it with new eyes, a new mind, new heart. And now take a deep breath as we take the next step, the final step of completion. Your basket of 2020 in your arms, so ready to let it go now. See yourself holding this basket 2020 and the gratitude and the new experience you have of it, the new perception of it that you have, the new perspective. And feel yourself lifting that basket into that light that has been shining on these steps. This light is pure, it's warm without being hot, it's pure. Just let the basket float up into it and watch it disappear into that light. And now it's you, your new self, standing at the top of these steps with this light all around you, being absorbed into every cell of your body. Feel the clarity and the warmth. This clarity is the self that you are moving into the new year. Feel your strength, your openness, your readiness. And the most important thing about any year is the commitment to support yourself every day in all the ways you know that yourself needs your support. It's more important than anything else that could happen in a year. Being present with you. Being a best friend to yourself. Feel the steps that you climbed tonight, dissolving beneath your feet, but you're still supported in that light. And it brings you to your room, to the chair you're sitting in. with a new clarity for the new year. And this is the best holiday gift ever. So feel your feet on the floor wherever they're resting. And be aware of your legs, knees, your upper legs, your hips, back, shoulders, arms and hands, your neck and your head. Take a couple of deep breaths to help your mind body system switch gears. Being present in your room. You can open your eyes when you're ready. I thank you all for joining me tonight in this process, this very important process, getting ready for our year. I will continue to do my work and finish it up and have another meditation on New Year's Eve to take care of the scraps that I find between now and Thursday at midnight, which I'm sure there will be. Have a wonderful New Year celebration. This is really something to celebrate, to be able to move into the new year with clarity and a clear mind, a clear heart. It's great to see you all too. Those of you I can see, thank you for joining me. It means a lot that we have you here. It adds to the energy of each of us doing our own process. So thank you. Happy New Year. And I look forward to seeing you a whole lot in 2021. Many blessings to all of you. Bye-bye.